And if we take a look at some massive theaters, it's not looking too good. Here's one in the Metro DC area, Tyson's Corner, completely empty on a primetime Saturday. One of Utah's largest theaters at 5 p.m. and 7:40 p.m., both completely empty. The massive TCL Chinese Theater looking pretty rough right now. Not a lot of seats taken at all. And even the busiest theater in Montreal is not getting a lot of attention here either, with 1 seat taken. Theaters in Toronto, not many seats taken. And once again, just no seats taken. Another theater in Toronto. And finally, a theater in Ottawa, barely any seats taken.
Look at me, sure. Look at me, sure.
I am the Snow White now.
Disney's Snow White remake has become the company's worst nightmare. The film has reached a humiliating new low, sealing its place as the worst-rated Disney release of the decade.
What did you think was going to happen when you chose specifically this actress for the job?
I don't need your business.
Weird.
If Disney wants to make more woke films that tank at the box office, they are more than welcome to do that, but maybe think of an original idea. Maybe not destroy a classic from my childhood.
We hate the diversity, equity, and inclusion casting and writing in movies.
Nothing has brought me greater joy than watching the Walt Disney Company absolutely panic over the last few weeks.
And once again, the public has said, we hate your woke bull crap.
No one on the right side of America can stand the star of this movie.
I did not like Snow White. The reason why is that the actress that plays Snow White, she acts like a bitch all the time.
I don't need your business.
I don't think they're going to buy it. I don't think they're going to watch it. I don't think they're going to like it.
I just feel like she has this intense hatred for the material that she's working with. She calls it weird.
About Disney, in which they deconstructed the fact that every Disney movie has now flipped over into just being a woke festival of stupid.
You say all you have to do to make your wish come true is let it echo, echo, echo.
It's awful, generic. Never mind that the lyrics make no sense at all. All you have to do to make your dream come true is let it echo. Is it like...
This is truly like, she has to go. I'm sorry, Disney. She has to go.
I don't need your business.
And to everyone who hates when I win, the winged victory came to the Louvre in pieces, and people still line up to see her. And I can only hope that despite my flaws, and despite my cracks and my breaks, and there are many of them, that at every premiere and everything I do, people will wait in line to see.
Well, I'm sorry they didn't line up to see your love quite clearly based on the box office numbers.
We know that they are in full-on frantic mode as we speak because Bob Iger, the board of directors, the many executives over there, they are seeing the negative press.
She thinks she should get paid more because she has to wear that dress. She should get paid for streaming for every hour she has to wear the dress. I mean, talk about biting the hand that feeds you. Not only are you being casted in a classic film to remake it, but you don't seemingly like your own character. So she comes off as an insufferable, whiny brat.
I don't need your business.
Well, folks, as we all know, Disney has gone completely woke.
Doesn't need a prince to save her, and not surrounded by 7 weird people. Oh, okay, just CGI fictional goblins, I guess.
So hopefully this flops so hard that they finally learn their lesson.
The reason we had Rachel Zegler on the docket is she's an asshole. I don't need your business.
What an idiot I've been as a young person in this industry who has no filter and no idea what she's doing.
You can have female characters that are empowered, that do great things, that are heroines. I mean, that's fantastic. I don't think anybody has an issue with it. But you don't have to disparage men in the process. You don't have to call Prince Charming a stalker. You don't have to say that you could just eliminate him from the whole movie.
Cast a guy in the movie, right. Andrew Burnap, great dude. All of Andrew's scenes could get cut. Who knows? It's Hollywood, baby. It's Hollywood, baby. It's Hollywood, baby. Hollywood, baby. Yeah. Weird. Super weird. So we didn't do that this time.
Well, Andrew, woke is a poison apple and Disney have had a big bite of it. This movie should be called, they should call this movie Snow Woke and the 7 Pronouns. It's so bad. If you were to watch this movie on an aeroplane, Andrew, you'd walk out.
And if you disagree with this sentiment, I don't need your business. Thanks.
Welcome back to Tea Time with Tina. In a fiasco so massive, it practically deserves its own museum exhibit. Disney's live-action Snow White remake has crashed and burned like a cheap fireworks display on a soggy 4th of July. At the center of the wreckage stands Rachel No Brain Zegler, an actress who seems to have perfected the art of alienating her own audience at supersonic speed.
And if you disagree with this sentiment, I don't need your business.
The mainstream press is tiptoeing around the carnage, but let's skip the kid gloves and talk straight. This modernized disaster has offended longtime fans, enraged co-stars, and somehow managed to kill off every last ounce of Disney's residual dignity in one fell swoop.
Now, one thing that is already universally known at this point by the general public is the fact that Disney is in full-on damage control mode.
I came back, the losses were around $4 billion.
Folks, if you thought last year's cinematic dumpster fires were bad, hold on to your mouse ears, because this meltdown sets an all-time record for spectacular mismanagement. But first, don't forget to like and subscribe because let's face it, I'm nothing without your support. Now back to the tea. Let's rip off the Band-Aid and dig into the numbers, because they're as ugly as a triple witch wart. Disney blew an eye-watering $250 million on Snow White, presumably thinking that sprinkling a dash of CGI fairy dust and some woke one-liners would lure the masses into theaters.
Okie dokie. I am walking into Snow White, 2 p.m., now seating. Let's see how empty it is. I-ho, it's off the woke we go. I-ho. Sound like I hear a couple of people. One, two. Okay. 2.
Yeah, not so much. The movie ended up scraping together a measly $195 million worldwide, leaving a gaping financial black hole more painful than stepping on a Lego in the dark. In an almost poetic form of cosmic justice, 1,210 theaters across the globe have already pulled the film from their screens, presumably to spare themselves the embarrassment of racking up $53 in ticket sales per day. There's a viral TikTok shot in what looks like a post-apocalyptic movie theater, completely empty except for the sad soul filming the fiasco. Another clip out of Shanghai IMAX reveals a whopping 5 people in attendance. That's barely enough to form a decent game of Go Fish, let alone call it a successful screening.
As a good reporter, I went to check it out myself yesterday here in Shanghai. Now, including myself and my friend, the entire IMAX cinema had just 5 audience members. And that is despite Disney going all out in their promotion of the film here in China. There was even a poster in the elevator at my apartment complex.
All this chaos confirms one brutal truth. Even the mighty Disney brand couldn't spin this turkey into box office gold. Critics have labeled it the worst-rated Disney release of the decade. And frankly, I'm inclined to believe them. It's like the executives took all the charm of the 1937 classic, tossed it in a blender with questionable political commentary, and then served it to audiences as a lukewarm kale smoothie. Not exactly a crowd pleaser.
Well, they could just write a new story. I mean, that's you don't have to take a classic fairy tale that's been loved for generations and destroy it. You can just write a new story about an empowered girl who wants to be a great leader and not call it Snow White.
But hey, if corporate humiliation were an Olympic sport, Disney would be taking home a gold medal right now. Now, if you think the box office numbers were depressing, wait till you hear about the star of this fiasco, Rachel Zegler, whose career trajectory is plunging faster than a bungee jumper with a loose cord. Whispers are swirling that she's been searching for therapy, emotional support, or perhaps an invisibility cloak, so she can vanish entirely from the scene. But the comedic tragedy doesn't end there. Rumor has it that her own co-stars have distanced themselves faster than you can say direct-to-DVD sequel. Fans who once praised her early performances now roast her daily for warping one of Disney's most beloved tales into some sort of vanity project.
Rachel Zegler and her behavior. And if it was just one comment, it probably would have been forgotten by now. But it was comment after comment, and it was pissing off everybody, pissing off old Disney fans, pissing off new Disney fans, pissing off Trump supporters, pissing off all of America. And it became such a disaster that they had to shut her up, which was the smartest move they made.
A meltdown like this has the potential to end careers. And if Hollywood is anything, it's brutal to those who fail spectacularly. Still, no one seems more eager to escape the stench of this train wreck than Rachel herself. If she's hoping to find redemption, she might need a time machine and a wheelbarrow full of apologies. As if single-handedly detonating a $250 million budget wasn't enough, Zegler managed to tick off an army of Disney loyalists. An impressive feat, given that these folks generally love anything with a castle logo slapped on it. In interviews, Rachel took pot shots at the original prince, labeling him a stalker and implying that romance in fairy tales was archaic nonsense.
I know that you've told me before that your version of Snow White is different and it's more of a 2022 version of Snow White. What did you mean by that?
I mean, you know, the original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her.
Yeah.
Weird.
Super weird.
So we didn't do that this time.
Sure, some corners of the internet applauded her feminist stance, but a much larger group of fans felt she was missing the entire point of the classic story. If you're going to reimagine a centuries-old fairy tale, maybe don't belittle the source material beloved by generations. Even better, her co-star Gal Gadot, who played the evil queen, apparently wants nothing to do with her. Word on the grapevine is that Gadot made it crystal clear she was not about to publicly defend Rachel or her ill-advised hot takes.
So one major aspect about why there's a lot of growing issues between Gal Gadot and Rachel Zegler is that we know that they have a lot of personal problems with each other. We know that there's a lot of politics driven in between there, as well as other personal issues that really rised when it came to creative differences behind the scenes, and also in the public eye they had a lot of problems.
Imagine waking up to headlines blaming you for the film's flop, all because your leading lady decided to mouth off about the very fairy tale she was supposed to champion. Gadot reportedly believes that Zegler's unfiltered commentary was like throwing a gallon of gasoline on an already smoldering PR tire fire, and the fans feel deeply betrayed. They wanted a modern Snow White, sure, but they didn't exactly ask for a chaotic takedown of the original romance or a lead actress who treats the classic as if it's some ancient relic that belongs in a dusty museum. From longtime Disney devotees to casual moviegoers, people are collectively rolling their eyes at the smugness on display. When you're trying to celebrate a character that's been cherished for decades, maybe calling the male lead a creep isn't the best marketing strategy. Of course, you can't pin the entire dumpster fire on Zegler alone. The House of Mouse also took a big swan dive into the modernization pool without checking if there was any water. Disney's corporate overlords seem convinced that injecting polarizing political and social viewpoints into every childhood classic is the secret sauce to staying relevant. But if Snow White is any indication, this might be less secret sauce and more spoiled mayonnaise. Critics are lining up around the block to point out that Disney's once impeccable reputation has taken a dramatic nosedive. Turns out, insulting your core fanbase isn't the best way to keep that gravy train rolling. And in case you were hoping for a live-action Tangled, rumor has it you can kiss that dream goodbye. Multiple insiders report that Disney is pressing the panic button on future remakes, terrified of repeating this fiasco.
Disney has canceled one of its upcoming live-action remakes after Snow White flopped. And I bet some fans are going to be pretty disappointed by this news. Disney has pumped the brakes on its live-action remake of Tangled. And that's a pretty big deal because Tangled was in active development. Greatest Showman filmmaker Michael Gracie was going to direct with a script from Jennifer Caton Robinson. But now the project is on pause, and it's unclear if that pause is temporary or permanent.
Then there's Bob Iger, Disney's big cheese, who made the head-scratching confession that he doesn't even know what too woke means anymore.
Critics saying Disney's too woke, but you're just putting out storytelling.
We are. Look, I don't really like the term woke because I think it's an umbrella term that I'm not 100% sure I even know what it means.
That's right. The leader of the world's largest entertainment conglomerate basically shrugged his shoulders at accusations that the brand is out of touch. Maybe someone should buy him a dictionary, or better yet, a clue about why so many fans are outraged. Because if Snow White is an example of Disney's innovative new direction, then Mickey might want to draft a resignation letter. Step right up for the circus behind the scenes. According to shadowy Hollywood sources, the production was a festival of bickering from day one. Rachel Zegler, fresh off a couple of modest success stories, allegedly insisted on enough creative control to make any seasoned producer's eye twitch. She wanted an all-new narrative that pitched Snow White as a fiercely independent heroine with zero interest in a prince, which might have worked if the entire script didn't read like it was penned by someone who's never actually read the original fairy tale.
You see how young these women are. You know, like this woman, Rachel Zegler, she looks about 12 years old in that clip, who plays the new Snow White. And It really does seem to me that this is like a 19-year-old's version of feminism, right? You've got to reject men. They have to be painted as toxically masculine. You have to spit on true love. Like that is not a value that is universal, that everyone aspires to, well before they aspire to leadership, right? That it's somehow they're mutually exclusive, by the way. You've got to get rid of the love storyline and focus more on how she wants to be CEO of IBM. I mean, like, what's Snow White's plan? She's Snow White. She's like a princess. Okay, whatever.
Disney higher-ups initially gave her free rein, probably hoping the feminist spin would spark interest. But as the production slogged on, tensions ran higher than a giraffe on stilts. Some behind-the-scenes staffers quietly muttered that they were turning Snow White into a preachy, disconnected lecture about modern social issues instead of a whimsical reimagining of a timeless romance. Talk about missing the forest for the trees. And as for the media, don't even get me started. You'd think major outlets would be all over this fiasco like bees on honey. Instead, they're suspiciously silent, focusing on fluff pieces or dancing around the epic meltdown. Could it be that Disney's powerful influence is keeping a tight lid on the story? Or are they just too embarrassed to admit they turned one of their crown jewels into a multi-million-dollar punchline? Because from the audience's perspective, this drama is downright comedic. Like watching a bungling magician fail every single trick before your eyes. Now let's talk about the cherry on top of this rotting sundae, legal trouble. Whispers abound that distributors or co-producers might sue if they suspect Disney misrepresented the film's tone or potential success. In Hollywood, big money always comes with strings attached. If those strings snap, courtesy of an actress who publicly roasted the movie's core storyline, the legal eagles might swoop in. Actual malice, breach of contract, smear campaign. Pick your spicy legal term, because rumor has it they're all floating around studio boardrooms. Could Rachel face blowback for her off-screen behavior? Possibly, though typically studios only go nuclear if they believe a star has actively sabotaged their investment. The question is, does publicly deriding the heart of the fairy tale that put food on your table count as sabotage? Some suits might say yes, especially if they have to answer angry calls from partners who lost truckloads of cash on this fiasco. Meanwhile, Rachel's Hollywood prospects are up in the air. The industry is more fickle than a toddler with a sweet tooth, and few folks in Tinseltown want to hitch their wagon to an actress who lit her own project on fire. Time might heal wounds, but in showbiz, you're only as good as your last success or your last catastrophic failure. And let's be honest, this one is so big it might need its own zip code. So where do we stand besides knee-deep in this comedic swamp of epic proportions? Disney is staring at a gaping $145 million hole, which might not seem like a big deal for a multi-billion-dollar juggernaut, but trust me, shareholders are not pleased when they see their beloved brand turned into late-night punchline fodder. Rachel Zegler is hiding out in New York, possibly rethinking every life choice that led her to slam a 1937 fairy tale in the first place. Meanwhile, co-stars and fellow Disney employees have hopped off the bandwagon faster than you can say, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's got the worst PR meltdown of them all?" If there's any silver lining, maybe it's that Disney will finally realize that you can't just throw a big budget at a classic story, slap on modern buzzwords, and expect the audience to applaud with open wallets. Nostalgia is a powerful force, but it's not strong enough to prop up a project that's brazenly condescending to the very fairy tale it's adapting. If Bob Iger and the rest of Disney's suits think they can sweep this fiasco under the rug, they might want to invest in a bigger rug. One thing's certain, the drama is nowhere near over. Rumors of hush-hush meetings, suppressed interviews, and last-minute script changes for future projects swirl around the internet like flies around spoiled fruit. It's a feeding frenzy for conspiracy buffs who suspect that the mainstream media is going easy on Disney out of fear or favoritism. Could more bombshell evidence drop about the behind-the-scenes chaos? Probably. And you can bet your glass slippers will be right here to serve it up hot. So what do you think? Is this fiasco a clear sign that Disney's woke approach has finally run its course? Or is it just another example of Hollywood taking itself way too seriously and forgetting that audiences just want a bit of magic? Sound off in the comments below. Unless, of course, you're too busy watching those hysterically empty theater TikToks on repeat. And hey, if you haven't already, slam that subscribe button. Because in a media landscape chock full of sycophants and spin doctors, we're committed to telling it like it is, even if that means pointing and laughing at the biggest entertainment titan on Earth. Snow White may be the original Disney princess, But this modern reboot is less a love letter to the classic and more a comically tragic cautionary tale about how to blow $250 million. Until next time, stay tuned, stay safe, and stay informed. Only on Tea Time with Tina.